welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I thought I would talk you through start to finish my whole fitness journey, what I did along the way, and basically how I lost all the weight. So I did also just want to put a little trigger warning here. I will be talking about weights, calories, calorie counting, exercising, over exercising, and being restrictive. So if any of that triggers you, please don't watch this video. And yeah, let's get into it. Don't know if you can hear that racket, but they are building something next door. So I don't actually know what they're doing because they've not been there for months, but the last few days when I've decided to film my YouTube video, they're back. So if you hear any loud noises, that's what it is. So to start off, like my previous history with exercise and eating, I have never really had a good relationship with food and exercise. I would say from the age of maybe 17 onwards, I definitely was overeating. I didn't exercise. I was quite an active child. I did swimming, I did ballet, and then as I got older, that all kind of gradually stopped and I didn't do really anything else. I didn't really go out for walks or anything. So yes, and that only got worse when I went to university. I was also vegan at the time, so I wasn't, as a student, fueling my body properly, cooking myself good, nutritious vegan food. I was just going for convenience food like, you know, pasta, which obviously pasta is not bad, but I was just eating like pasta and vegan cheese sauce, not really any nutritious food, no vegetables really. I'd eat hummus and pitta, which is still one of my favourite foods pretty much every single day. Along with a lot of drinking and not exercising at all. So I think my weight before I went to uni was around 13 stone or 12 stone maybe, and then I shot up by the time it was second year to near 16 stone. Through the first half of second year, so we were in 2019 at that point, my weight just continued to go up. I was getting a lot of takeaways, still not exercising. February 2020, and this is when everything with COVID kind of started. So there was talk of going home for lockdown, that kind of thing, and that's kind of where it started when I went home. So I had always wanted to lose weight, but I would take it too far, I'd be too restrictive, and then end up kind of binging, I guess, although I didn't really know what that was at the time. Just overeating in general. I'd go through, you know, a couple of days maximum of being super restrictive, eating a very low amount of calories, obviously not being able to maintain it, still didn't really exercise, and yes, that's kind of what led me to failure so many times before. So yeah, we go home for lockdown, so I'm back at my parents' house at home, and I thought what better time to focus on my fitness journey than now. You know, I didn't really have a lot to do other than a bit of uni work, so yeah, it was a good time for me to prioritize food, create an actual routine for myself, because above all, not only did I not have kind of a fitness routine and, you know, a routine with my food, I just didn't have any routine at all. So I started, you know, getting up at regular times, which sounds silly, but I didn't even do that before, just getting up at a similar time each day, planning out my days when I do my uni work, you know, when I would go out for a walk. So that's how that all started. So on the food side of things, first of all, I decided to calorie count, which, like I said previously, I tried it a few times before, but I always took it too far. So I think the calories I started off on were around 2000, 1900, which did gradually go down as I lost weight. I was calorie counting, I was making all my meals, I wasn't ordering takeaways, I was doing a lot of volume eating, which, you know, in my case was just bulking out the meals that I would eat with my family. You know, say they were having, I don't know, lasagna, I'd make sure to have a big side of salad with it just so that I felt full, because I was used to eating such big portions previously, so I never wanted to feel like I was restricting myself by cutting down the portion size. So that was a big thing for me. Yeah, just working out how I could make, you know, little shortcuts to still feel satisfied, but reach the goals that I wanted. On the exercise side of things, I literally just started off walking. I think for the first about month and a half, I just walked anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour per day. Obviously in lockdown that's all we could do, is just go out for a walk. The other thing I did do was go for a cycle on a Sunday instead of a walk, And then this kind of ties into how I was able to maintain that balance. Me and my sister would do a big bike ride, and it would, you know, I'd guess how many calories it would burn, maybe 500, 600. And then on a Sunday, when we'd have a nice meal at home, I would allow myself to eat those calories that I had burned, which gradually I kind of stopped doing that when I felt like I was comfortable enough eating within my amount day to day. But it was a way for me to feel like I wasn't restricted, and that I could still have that bit of extra treat on the weekend without it being kind of be super restrictive in the week, and then on the weekend you can eat what you want. So it was kind of a bit of a balance between the two. So yeah, walking, 1 bike ride a week, calorie counting to start off with. At this point I've been doing that for about around a month, so we're kind of around Easter time, middle of April, and I decided I'd like to start doing some at-home workouts. Luckily we had a little space in our garage with some equipment, so I decided to start doing HIIT workouts, a little bit of circuit style training, and I also started doing Couch to 5k with my mum. If anyone's done Couch to 5k, you'll know it's kind of gentle to begin with, and then it builds you up over time to be able to run 5k with no breaks, and that is how I got into running. At first we were kind of a bit on and off with it, then once you start seeing those results, that is so motivating, and that's what kept me going. And then eventually when I completed Couch to 5k, I realised I had quite a love for running, so that was another thing that I eventually incorporated, but like I said, that took a bit more time. So I started doing my HIIT workouts. I'll insert a picture of me on the screen. I bought a pair of Gymshark leggings, which at the time was like so exciting for me. They did rip, so that wasn't a huge win, but I got my leggings to do my at-home workouts. It's kind of given me a bit of motivation. Now we're in May, this is around my mum's birthday. I also want to mention I did not stop drinking throughout the journey. I didn't stop eating things that I wanted to eat. It would just be everything in moderation, and if there was cake, I'd have a little bit of cake so I felt satisfied, but like I'd previously done, I wouldn't have as much cake as I wanted to the point where I'd feel sick, because I didn't know how to have that balance before. So it was just about kind of managing things, balancing things, and like I said, on those weekends doing a bit more exercise, so I felt I could relax a little bit more on the food side of things. So this picture here is from the 26th of May, and at this point I feel like I was really starting to see some big changes. Going into this journey, like I said, I think it was about 16 stone, and at this point I believe I'd lost about 2 stone. So that's 2 months in, about 2 stone lost, and more than anything, how I felt at this point was just amazing. And this is the longest I'd maintained like a lifestyle change for, and that is because it was a lifestyle change. It wasn't me overdoing it, restricting myself. It was just me saying to myself, okay, this will take as long as it's going to take, and that's fine because I really need to make a change here, so I will spend as long as I need to taking it slowly so that it actually works this time. Okay, so at this point we are now at the 28th of May. We could go sea swimming again at this point, which is something my parents do and love, so I decided to join in with them. This was another element of my kind of fitness routine that I was developing. That was just, I didn't swim for long, maybe maximum half an hour, but it was such a nice thing to be able to incorporate into my routine that made me feel amazing. Here's a little picture of me on the beach after my swim. Around this time as well, so on the 30th of May, I had my first takeaway since I started the journey, and I just remember thinking when I was eating it, I'm enjoying the process so much that I'm not even really loving this takeaway, not because like it was completely awful, but just because I was thinking I'm allowing myself to have so much of the food that I love and the yummy food that I love, and you know, making it myself at home, that I could have just made a meal at home that I would have enjoyed just as much. And I think that was a really key moment for me in realizing that spending time on, you know, making sure you enjoy the process has the biggest difference, and it was literally what kept me going. Okay, so now we're on the 8th of June. This is another little milestone for me. I bought my first dress that I bought in a very, very long time. I wasn't comfortable really wearing dresses previously to this. I would always, every night out, I would wear black flares or black leather trousers with like an oversized blazer, just because that's what I felt comfortable in. And that's not a reflection of necessarily just how I looked, but I just did not have my life together, and I'd wear the same thing every night out because I wasn't even willing to, you know, push myself out of my comfort zone in any format. Okay, so we are now on the 14th of June, and I feel like around this point was when I'd been quite consistent with my workouts. Like I said, I was doing those little HIIT workouts at home, doing my runs, still keeping up with the walking every day, and occasionally the sea swimming as well. I started to get into kind of understanding and teaching myself what macros were in relation to calories, and you know, how I needed to divide those up to see the best results, understanding the importance of protein in your diet, how much fat I should be eating, and how carbs are good for you, and you should be eating a lot of carbs. But obviously it's all in relation to what your goals are. So once I started understanding that, I started kind of tailoring my food to that. One thing that I would like to mention as well is throughout this whole time, I would do the food shop for the house, just because I was like so into like trying new foods that could work within my kind of new meal routine. So I would do all the food shops, which was fun because then I got to try lots of new food. 14th of June, here we are. This is the first time I made the famous prawn tacos. And this was a staple for me throughout my whole journey, and they are just so satisfying. The macros are amazing, and so tasty. This week we're going to film how I make them, talk you through the ingredients, a proper whole video on it, because I have a quick video on TikTok and Instagram, but it would be good to do like a proper in-depth one, so keep an eye out for that. Back to the Gymshark leggings. I was wearing these and I was noticing that they were a bit loose on me. So I think I was maybe approaching the 3 stone mark here lost. So I was feeling quite good. I had never ever, like I said before, got this far on a fitness journey, so I was starting to take more selfies, more progress pictures. I was weighing myself more often than I would have liked, but the main thing that I was going off, which I'm really proud of myself for, and that I always encourage my clients to do, is progress pictures, because obviously there would be days when my weight wouldn't reflect, you know, my hard work. We have periods, my weight fluctuates a lot around my period, it would depend how hydrated I was, like so many variables. So progress pictures was the main one for me. Okay, so on the 17th of June now, I think this is when we could go outside and meet people, and I went to meet up with some friends that I've not seen in a long time, and I had ordered like the day before some clothes, and I ordered them in, I remember, a size 12, and I had not been a size 12 since I was like 15 or 14, I think. So I'll pop that picture here, but I was so happy and just like felt really comfortable, like I was at a really good place in my routine. So yeah, that was another big moment for me. Just as I'm scrolling through my camera roll here, again, another example of me volume eating the same meal that my family were, but I put loads of spinach with it to make it feel like it was an absolutely massive portion. We are now on the 21st of June. I think this was Father's Day. And I posted my first Instagram picture in like 7 months I hadn't posted a picture in. And this was kind of exciting for me because obviously I hadn't seen anyone because we were in lockdown, so it was like a bit of an exciting moment because I did look very different at this point. I think I'd lost, yeah, about 3.5 stone, and there was a big change in, it was just like a waist up picture, I'll put it here. But like the shape of my face is very different already, so that was an exciting moment for me as well. So many pictures of prawn tacos here because I was just so pleased with myself that I'd found a meal that I could eat every day for the rest of my life. This is a good one. So bit weird, but like me and my sister have a very weird obsession with shells, so we would just like anything you can find that would keep you entertained on a walk, like encourage your family to go on a walk with you, because we would go to the beach and we would have a shell competition to find the best shells, which sounds silly, but it's such a good way to like get yourself out on a walk when that's all there is to do in lockdown. Like obviously we're not in lockdown anymore, but if you're struggling to find the motivation to go on a walk, try and encourage a family member to go with you, try and encourage a friend to go with you, just because it makes the time go so much quicker. Or, you know, do something when you're on a walk, because I guarantee you will feel so much better afterwards, but it's just that whole build up to try and get yourself to go when maybe you really don't fancy it. So we would go shell hunting like every night, and that was very fun. Okay, another big moment for me. Since I was like 13, 14, I always dyed my hair like jet black, and I thought, you know, new me, I should probably grow out of the dyeing my hair black all the time, because naturally my hair is very similar to this. So I decided, let's get rid of the black hair. So I got it stripped and started getting highlights. And I feel like even though that's not weight related, like there is another non-scale win that just me in this lifestyle change, I decided to move on from, you know, dyeing my hair black all the time and always wearing black clothes just because I felt uncomfortable, like moving forward from that. So that was a big step for me. So I'll pop a picture in here. And I took some selfies and I felt really cute, which made me happy. Okay, so we are now on the 25th of July. This was the first night out, I think. This was when you could go into pubs and sit down and drink, I think, if you had a meal as well. So we went out for dinner and drinks, which was so nice. This was the first night out in like as long as I can remember that I just like felt happy, wasn't really focused about what I looked like just because I felt quite comfortable within myself. So yeah, it was really fun and I just relaxed and had a really nice time. Again, like I said before, never stopped drinking throughout because, you know, it's fun and you don't have to cut out drinking to lose weight. So yeah, that's an important one. Okay, so then we got to my birthday. This was my 20th birthday. I ordered this pink dress, which I never would have worn previously, and that whole day just felt so cute. Felt really amazing. Had some pictures taken, I'll pop one of them here. And I remember just thinking like, wow, I've actually come such a long way. Like even over the past, you know, 4 months, I think at this stage I was probably around 12 stone now, maybe. So it was about a stone a month on average that I'd lost. And I just remember looking at the picture and thinking, wow, I've actually come such a long way and I feel like a different person in the best way. And I've worked really, really hard, just being consistent, but being kind to myself at the same time, which made it, like I said so many times, a long-term change. Okay, so at this point, I started making some collages that were like before and after, just because I wanted to see like how much a difference there actually was. So I'll pop one of them on screen here, and it is quite crazy. I think, yeah, at this point it was about 4 stone lost, yeah, which is wild. And the most crazy part of it all was I was thinking to myself, like, this hasn't been that hard. Like, I've made myself enjoy the process. Okay, so this is just before I was about to go back to uni, and probably like, you know, the last month of July, and August and September, those months I felt probably the best. I was, you know, about at my goal. I think my goal was 12 stone, and just as I left for uni in September I was about 11. So I'd really kept it up. At this point I think I started maybe August time to actually get a bit more into the weight training side of things, doing less kind of high intensity, you know, cardio style hit, and doing more kind of strength training, and pushing myself in that area of things rather than just trying to, you know, burn as many calories as possible. Time to go back to uni. So I remember I went to, this is a big day for me, quite like a fun day. I remember I went back to work for like a training day, and literally no one recognised me. Obviously I had different hair, I looked completely different. So that was kind of a crazy moment. And then I took some pictures that day and I remember thinking, wow, yeah, very different girl. Then I moved back to uni in September, and I think just because I had been so in control of things for so long and doing so well, when I then moved out on my own, that just I took it to another level. So this is when things started to get a little bit restrictive, and like I said before, I had my goal of 12 stone. I was way past this now. I was, you know, maybe 11, just under. So this is in September of 2020. So at this point I was finding things, you know, super easy because I was just living on my own. I bought all my own food, made all my meals obviously, and I was really into my fitness routine at this point. Again, I was still only working out from home, which is why a lot of the girls that I coach all do home workouts, you know, even with no equipment at all, just a mat, and maybe a resistance band. So I'm a big advocate for home workouts and how brilliant they are, along with, you know, getting your body moving with walking. At this point, took things a little bit too far, got a bit carried away, and I think probably developed a bit of an eating disorder just because I had so much control over my food at this point. So I dropped a lot of weight quite quickly at this point. So we're now in the 18th of October. I think I was around 10 stone here. My goal was to get below 9. So I just kept going, and at this point also I was, you know, my dissertation deadline was pending, which, even though it wasn't directly stressing me out, I think it was causing me a lot of stress, maybe subconsciously without me even realizing, just the amount of, you know, pressure on me and the amount of work that I had to do. I was also working at the time, so I was quite busy, and I think I used food to kind of control my stress levels almost, because I always, it's hard to explain, but if I felt like I had control over my food, because that was my main stress, I was okay with things. I felt like I was trying to manage my stress through my food, and what it was really doing was causing me more stress, because then I ended up eventually just thinking about food all the time, which was exhausting. So I'll insert a picture of me around this point, 10 stone, wanting to be around 9. So here's a little picture of me doing my at-home workouts. And at this point as well, I didn't know enough about kind of nutrition and training to know that what I wanted to achieve actually required me to eat more, and that I could eat more and still, you know, change my body in the way that at the time I wanted to. So that was a big kind of error on my part, that I just didn't do enough kind of research. I was so driven with this one goal, and, you know, I don't blame myself for it, because obviously an eating disorder is something you can't control, but at the time I was just like tunnel vision to, I want to be below 9 stone, and the only way to do that is walk all the time, run all the time, eat barely anything, you know, as little as possible is good, and work out every single day, even if I was working early, get up at ridiculous hours to get the workout done. I feel like a bit of a turning point for me as well was, I'll insert a picture of it. It was my friend's birthday. We went out for like a lovely day, like a lovely brunch, and a couple of my friends would also calorie count as well, and one of them said to me like, oh, are you calorie counting today? Because, you know, typically any person that maybe wasn't struggling with food would just have a nice day, enjoy it, because, you know, it's, at the time as well, we didn't go out much because it was still restrictions. You could go somewhere and eat and drink, but you couldn't just go out drinking. So, you know, we booked a whole day and we didn't go out really a lot at that point. So my friends who did calorie count weren't calorie counting, they were just enjoying the day. And they said to me, why are you calorie counting? And I remember thinking, oh yeah, that is maybe a bit of a problem. So I think it was around this time, November, when I kind of started to realise it was a problem, but it was kind of too far gone as well. So I couldn't really stop it from happening. I remember these pictures were taken and I remember thinking, oh yeah, I do look quite small, but at that time, that was unfortunately a good thing in my eyes, which looking back, obviously it's not now. But I remember seeing that as a big win, which is not a big win. Okay, so I think the next big stage in the journey was coming home for Christmas. This is like the 20th of December, and I just remember like kind of like my family saying things to me, you know, being a bit concerned about how I was a lot smaller than I was when I left for uni, and I was, you know, at a healthy weight when I left for uni. I didn't really need to keep going with things. I remember I calorie counted, I think even on Christmas Day, which is just ridiculous, because I still ended up eating, you know, more than the ridiculously low calorie limit I'd set for myself. But then what happened as a result of that was extreme guilt and then restriction, and I think from then onwards was when the binging and restricting kind of, you know, almost started. Didn't fully start until around Easter time, but I was learning how to kind of, the toxic behaviour of restricting yourself so that you could eat more, or eating more and then restricting yourself, because in my mind that kind of evened out, which doesn't even make sense now I say it. So around January time was when I first started my fitness page on Instagram, which I had started my TikTok not long before this, but starting my Instagram was like, I don't know why, a bit more of a big deal, even though I already had like a fair few followers on TikTok at this point. I just felt like Instagram was so much more personal, so this was a big stage for me, and I was, you know, doing my little what I eat in a day videos, recipes, little workout videos, which looking back on now, I mean, obviously everyone starts somewhere, but I just didn't really know what I was doing still. Okay, so fast forward to when I went back to uni. So 15th of February, I took this picture. I went through a phase of extreme bloating, which I now understand is a result of being underweight and your body kind of being in panic mode a little bit. And also because I was so tiny at this point, my goal was now to be under 8 stone. Kept going, and then I would just get these severe bloating episodes because I just wasn't eating enough. So when I'd eat, you know, a high volume meal, which was still very low in calories, I would bloat like crazy. And I think that there was, you know, I couldn't at that point see that maybe it's a problem with you not eating enough, that your body is reacting in this way, but I was completely blind to that. So at this point I was very small. This is the 1st of March. My dissertation deadline was looming. I was very stressed, even though I didn't realise it, and I was putting a lot of stress on my body. I think I was near around 8 stone here, and this is kind of as bad as it got. There's a picture here that I often use in my kind of before and after of me small and me now, and it is just crazy because, yeah, I had a flat tummy, but I was absolutely minuscule, so it was as a result of that. And I now realise that now I have kind of a healthy body and I am a healthy size. I'm never going to have a completely flat stomach again, but that's fine, because I then look back at these pictures and I think, wow, I would never want to be back there feeling like that ever again. So yeah, we're at the 20th of March now. Another picture of me looking quite small. This leads me on to kind of like my first like binge episode, I think. I'd never experienced anything like that before, but I came home for Easter. Started off the day with a big run to make up for eating a lot that day, because I had planned to just enjoy myself. At this point I was kind of getting frustrated with myself that I was thinking about food all the time and it was annoying me. I was ready to kind of move on from that, but I kind of had this, you know, episode of extreme hunger, and then eating to the point where, you know, I wasn't even enjoying it anymore. I think, you know, like 2 whole Easter eggs and then just kept going. Felt so guilty the day after and restricted myself. So I kind of then from that point unfortunately got into a bit of a cycle of binging and restricting, and I know a lot of people that follow me have experienced this as well, and it's just that feeling of being completely out of control of what you're eating, and to the point where you're not enjoying what you're eating anymore, but you just can't stop it. And sometimes when your body is in that state of extreme hunger, it's your body kind of not knowing what to do and almost telling you to, you know, eat more and more and more to make up for the fact that you have been restricting and you haven't been eating enough calories, you've been over exercising, your body just does need more. I remember at this point as well, I was kind of wanting to, you know, become more muscular. I wanted to grow certain areas of my body and look more toned, which is a very kind of vague word, which there's so much more to it than, you know, toning up. There's so many factors that play into that, but one of which was eating more, which I did not realise, and I was absolutely terrified of doing, because I'd obviously been on this long journey. I'd lost, you know, 7 stone at this point, 45 kg. My biggest fear was gaining weight back, and I didn't realise that, you know, 7 stone of weight, that took me years to, you know, gradually, you know, gain, and it took me a good solid, at this point, you know, 9 months to lose it all. So it wasn't just going to happen over one night, of me eating a little bit more than usual. But obviously when you are in that mindset, you don't see things clearly and you have no rational train of thought when it comes to food. So this continued on a bit, I think, you know, up until when my dissertation was due, of me binging, restricting, feeling completely out of control and just exhausted by the thoughts of food and exercise. And by this point I think I was going to the gym as well. I'd introduced, because I did work at a gym, but I'd always been too nervous to actually go to the gym myself, but I'd started going to the gym as well. So, you know, doing a lot of cardio on the Stairmaster for a very long time, so many sets, so many reps, not seeing any progress obviously, and wondering why. I couldn't up my weights because I just didn't have the energy in me, so I would just continue to do more reps and completely exhaust myself. A turning point for me was the 1st of May, I think this was for my friend's birthday. We had a little party at her house, and I just completely broke down, and to my friends who are like my school friends, you know, my best friends, and have known me for however many years, and I think they had also been a bit concerned about, they obviously don't see me as much because I'm at uni at this point, but they've been a bit concerned about my eating habits, you know, the amount of weight I was losing and how fast I was losing it. So yeah, I saw them, I think one of them asked me about it, and I just completely broke down and was like, it's just exhausting. I feel completely out of control of things and I don't know how to get out of it, because at this point I was just so stuck in it. So that was definitely a turning point for me, and I thought, right, let's just strip everything back, stop calorie counting for a bit, stop over exercising, because also at this point I'd lost my period, which was quite a big concern, so I wanted to get that back for sure. Had a quick coffee break, but so I feel like now we're getting to like a different phase of the journey, because when I'm looking at this part of my camera roll, it's just good vibes, good memories. It took me a long time to fully stop calorie counting, but I was very much on the way to wanting to make a change. I was so fed up of thinking about food all the time, being tired all the time, and being cold all the time, because I was absolutely freezing all the time. So this picture here, I do still look quite small, but you can see that I'm kind of putting on a bit of weight and just looking a bit happier and healthier. Through this time as well, there were still episodes of what I would consider to be binging, but I very much had it under control, and it was the biggest step in this for me was after what I would consider to be a binge, the next day I would not restrict myself, I would just push forward. And I genuinely believe, although it was so hard at the time, that's what helped me to recover, was just taking each day one at a time, and at the day after a binge saying, okay, yesterday happened, that's fine, I'm just going to eat normally today, I'm not going to count my calories, I'm just going to eat normally. At this point I was doing lots of fun things. I'd finished uni at this point, so although I was still living at uni in my uni house, because we had that till September, I was home a lot, doing lots of fun things, going out for food, which was again a challenge for me, but all part of the process of recovering. I was still going out, I still had my routine, but I was more so really trying to exercise when it made me feel good, rather than doing it because I had to and because I was so scared to gain weight back. It was more just something I was doing to make myself feel great. Here's another picture that I remember having taken and thinking, I look really healthy there and I'm really happy with myself. So that was again back to where I was before things kind of went downhill, which was a huge win for me. So from here on out, it was just a case of holding myself accountable, not in the sense of sticking to a certain amount of calories or sticking to a workout routine. It was holding myself accountable for being kind to myself and being honest with myself when I was taking things too far, and when I could tell that I was being restrictive, and when I was making myself do a workout when maybe I didn't really want to, but I thought I should. So, you know, those moments, being really strong in those moments, which is super, super hard, each time it got easier and easier and easier, and I developed a really solid routine with food and fitness, because I had these few months of just letting loose, calorie counting less and less and less, and really understanding what worked for me and made me happy, because that short-term happiness doesn't last from losing weight. And that's why I think I took it too far, because I wanted to keep feeling that, but that's not going to last. So it's about finding things that you can do day to day that make you happy, and a routine that makes you happy all the time, rather than just making a big change and expecting that to make you happy forever, because it doesn't. And that's why I think I found that transition quite difficult into just maintaining, rather than, like I did, taking it too far. It was also understanding, and I had, you know, over these last 3 months taught myself that in order to reach where I wanted to in my, you know, physical goals, and, you know, my physique, I guess, was I had to eat more, and that was a scary thing for me, but I wasn't going to get anywhere if I kept over exercising and I kept under eating. So I was getting more and more into what the correct things were to do in terms of training, you know, different ways of training, and understanding what I needed to do food wise to fuel my body to be able to reach those goals. So at this point we're now in September, so almost a year since things had started to go downhill. I'm training with my best friend at uni in the gym pretty much every day. We had such a good routine, just in terms of like going to the gym to feel good every morning. We would go out on walks together, and that's really what helped me find a love for the gym that wasn't as much physique related, just more a part of my day-to-day life, and something that at the end of the day made me feel accomplished, and I felt great when I was working out, and that's something I've carried through to now, and why I have maintained a routine in the gym for such a long time. So we're kind of at the end of things now. Now we are, in September, when I completely moved out of uni. I moved back home into my parents' house. I would say I'd been recovered for a good couple of months at this point. I was feeling really good, happy, healthy, and strong as well. I was loving the gym more than ever because I wasn't exhausting myself. I was training to feel strong, not to be skinny or to look a certain way. So things just went up from there. A few months later, I moved out on my own. I started my coaching business, and I just really started focusing on what makes me happy, separate from the gym and food, and working out how I could make my fitness routine in the gym work for me as best as possible in a non-restrictive way. So I guess that brings me to pretty much the end. This will be a very long video, so if you've watched till the end, big thank you. Obviously I've inserted some little pictures along the way so you can see. I did have a few questions that came in, so I thought I would maybe answer a couple of those. What would you do differently if you could go back in time? So I guess I've kind of covered this. I would just have known to not take it too far. Obviously there was no way really of me knowing that was going to happen, but I would have just tried to enjoy the feeling of feeling accomplished and then build from there, rather than pushing it and trying to constantly feel that feeling of being smaller and smaller. So that was definitely what I would change, and just not put so much pressure on myself, because I'd done amazingly and I never really stopped until the end of the whole thing to be like, Astrid, you've done really well. Like, just give yourself a pat on the back and, carry on, set new goals, and don't be mean to yourself. Do you aim to burn a certain amount of calories while exercising? I used to, and I used to really beat myself up about this, and there will be days when I don't burn as many as others. So for example, on an upper body day where I can't lift as heavy, I burn, maybe half the amount, but that is something I used to be really hard on myself for. But now it's not, because I'm not going to the gym to burn loads of calories. It's more about strength, and upping my weights each week. Those are the kind of non-scale, non-calorie based things that are going to make the gym enjoyable and sustainable. So yes, I used to, but please don't do that because it's not a good idea. Please cover misconceptions. I've lost 6 stone. I love seeing your journey as you're so relatable. Thank you, that's very kind. Misconceptions I would say are, the biggest one is you will instantly be happy as soon as you lose weight. That is not true. Happiness isn't related to how you look, and that's what I thought it was. I thought, once I lose all this weight, I'm going to be so happy, I'll never be sad again, I'll love my body so much. But that's not true, because you have to find other things that make you happy. It's a feeling that doesn't last. So that's probably the biggest misconception, and going into it, that was a misjudgment of mine. Another misconception I would say is that you have to be super restrictive the whole way through, because obviously I had my period of restriction, but for the most part my weight loss was healthy, it was steady, it was enjoyable, it wasn't too hard, because I made sure that I had that balance there of still doing the things I loved. So going into it, a piece of advice from me would be, if I can do it, anyone can, because you can be balanced, you can do both and still get amazing results. So it doesn't need to be, eating chicken and broccoli and running 3 hours a day, because that's what I used to think, and then I'd overdo it and give up. Do you eat the same on rest days? This is a good question. Yes, I do. You can do it differently depending on how you feel. So I know people who eat more on training days and less on rest days, and that works well for them, which is great. For me, I just keep it the same each day just to keep it easy, and that way I don't have to necessarily track every day, because I've got a good idea how many calories are in each thing, so I can just guess and keep it the same each day. But if you feel like on training days, whilst you're in a deficit, you need a little bit more energy, you can split it up differently by just adding up your whole calories for the week and dividing it up differently day by day. So both methods work. For just ease, I keep it the same day to day. I did have quite a few more questions, but I feel like this video has been so long, so I don't want to keep going. But I will definitely do more Q&As in the future. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, I'm sure you do, because I don't really have many subscribers on it. But I'll head over to my Instagram if I'm doing a Q&A, and that's where I'll pop the question box for my YouTube video. But yeah, let me know in the comments any videos you'd like to see next, any questions you had about this video. I hope I covered everything, but like I said, there's a lot, so I've waffled and probably not mentioned everything that I wanted to. So yes, thank you for sticking with me if you've made it this far, and I hope to see you all in my next video. And please like and subscribe.